Hey, you guys, Coach Liz here. All right, now that we've covered all five of our healthy habits, I thought it would be fun to do a life book tour. So, for the next several weeks, even months, we're going to go through each element of the life book each week, talking on the most important parts of health. But before we get started next week, I wanted to talk about the intro. In the intro, I'd love for you to check it out. There's so many great things. It introduces Dr. Anderson, his mission, but it also talks about consciousness. And before we start our health journey, we have to become conscious of where we're at. There is a great quiz in there that you can rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, where you're at currently in several different areas of health. And I think that's a really important part to recognize our current reality, where we're at, just being conscious of where we're at, what we're struggling with. And then next week, we're going to talk about our why, where we want to go with that. So for a few minutes, I want to talk about the word budgeting. When you think of budgeting, what do you think of? Often it doesn't bring like warm fuzzies to us when we think about budgeting. We think of more restriction, cutting back on things. But really, budgeting is just consciousness of where we're at, where we're spending our money. So, in relation to budgeting and money and food budgeting, they're very similar. And so, let's talk about that. Budgeting is just becoming aware of where we're at, where we're spending our money, and what we want to create. So, when we think of budgeting or in regards to money, often we look at how other people spend money or what they have, and we think that their life is so great, or how come they can buy all these things and go on these trips. But when you really look at the big picture, you don't know their whole life. You might see that they have a nice car or that they went on a fun trip, but you don't see how they spend their money in other areas of their life, what they've sacrificed to be able to do that, what they're not spending money on to be able to do that. We just see a small glimpse. Same thing when it comes to health. You might go out to eat with a friend or be at a holiday party or a birthday party and see someone indulge in something that maybe you don't feel like you can indulge in or that you don't normally eat. But you don't see the rest of their day or their life. You don't know how much exercise they get to counteract those calories that they're eating. You don't see if they mindlessly snack all day or if they night binge or if they're eating healthy the rest of the day. You don't see the big picture. You just see that one meal and think, I wish I could eat like that. But remember, you're only seeing like a small section of that person's life. So when you look at your life, looking at the big picture and recognizing where you're starting from and where you want to become. There's a quote I love that says, live so your future self will thank your past self. So living and knowing what you want in the future and to be able to thank your past self for helping you get there. So a couple things that I like to think about in budgeting with our health is think of something big that you want. We're going to talk about our why, knowing what our why is. But in relations to money, for example, this great girl that I know talked about this topic, and she talked about an experience that they wanted to get a pool for their family, and their kids wanted it, and they were excited about it, and they had to talk about what they would sacrifice to be able to get that. She said, you know what? We probably won't be going on any big fancy trips as a family. You might see your friends going on trips or getting new toys or going to fun places, but we have a bigger picture in mind. We want this pool. So we're going to sacrifice things and give up things to be able to make that happen. So they looked through all their finances, subscriptions, extra things they were spending money on. She had to stop getting her nails done. They had to stop eating out as often or spending money frivolously on entertainment. They really had to tighten up that budget to pay for something bigger that their family would enjoy for many years and make many memories. And so as they talked with their kids, they became aware of, what that might look like. So let's turn that back to our health. Maybe you have a big goal of losing weight, getting healthy, getting muscle, changing some things in your life. And that's what we're going to talk about next week, creating our why. But what are some things that we're going to have to give up for that time as we're creating that? What habits are we going to have to retrain ourselves so that once we get there, we don't blow it all and get back to where we started? That's going to take effort and consciousness. So in regards to our health, think about what that might be. What are you doing right now that you are willing to give up for a time to create something bigger that will make you happier in your life? A lot of times you think about things that you can add. Oh, I can start going to the gym and exercising. You think of all these things that you can start doing to be healthier. But the easiest thing that you can do is think of what you can get rid of to start with. And so as I was thinking about that, I remembered an experience with my sister-in-law. She was trying to lose some baby weight and starting to exercise. She wasn't used to exercising and wasn't really enjoying it at all. And so I said, you know what if you thought about what you could cut out? Because you're probably burning about 200 calories by doing that walk or that, that you're doing. What if you were to cut out, she liked candy at the time, a Snickers bar every day? Then that would make up for the difference of that exercise. And maybe you're not ready to start that exercise right now, or you're not enjoying it. But if you were to cut out something, then that would take the place. And so same thing, like maybe you drink soda. A lot of times if you drink several sodas a day, that's 500 to 700 calories right there in drinking soda. What if you decided, instead of adding hours of exercise to make up for that, that's something that you could cut out of your diet or your budget to make up that, that difference of not having to spend hours in the gym. Now, get me, exercise is important. It's a part of our healthy habits, but it's not the way to lose weight. So if your focus is weight loss, instead of focusing on how much more you can add at the gym, yes, we want moderation in exercise. We want to be active. That's an important part, but that's not where weight loss is going to happen. Weight loss is happening in the kitchen. And so thinking about first what you can cut out and then what you can swap for things that you like for a healthier version. And then, of course, things that we can add in, more protein, more veggies, those things we'll talk about also. But the easiest thing is to start cutting out those extra things instead of piling more onto your plate. So in regards to budgeting, I want you to think about that. Think about how budgeting is related to health, even calorie wise. If you are trying to stick to, let's say, a 1,500 calorie diet, and that's equivalent to, let's say, $15, you're going to be really picky about, is this worth taking it from my budget? Especially if it's not serving me or adding protein or nutrition. Is this donut worth 300 of my 1,500 calories for the day? So starting to think about, okay, I have this budget. Is this worth it? Or is it something that maybe I'll save up for later and do later that I can pass on right now? So I love thinking about that comparison of budgeting financially and also in our health, and that we are living so that our future self can thank our past self. When we're conscious of where we're at and where we want to get, budgeting equals freedom. We're going to create freedom in our life as we create who and what we want to be. And so think about that this week. What are things in your health budget that you're willing to let go of to be able to get closer to what you want? And be thinking about what your why is. Why are you wanting to get healthy? We're going to talk about that more next week, but my challenge for you is to check out the intro in the Life book. Check out Dr. Anderson's story, his mission of helping the world get healthy, and then take that readiness quiz. See where you're at. Become conscious of where you're at with your habits right now, and that will give you a clearer picture of what you want to create. And we're going to talk about that next week, what we're creating. But first, we're going to become aware of where we're at with our habits and our health. And so check out the intro in the Life book, and we'll talk more about this next week. Have a great week.